What would you do if you inherited some land only to realize the longer you stay there that if you don't follow the rules that came with the house, you die? Hello, I'm Cece, and welcome back to the Crucible of Character, where today I have another scary Reddit story for you. If you enjoy the stories and you'd like to see more, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving your thoughts down below. I'm trying to hit 100 subscribers before the end of the year, and I know that we can do it. Today's story is entitled, My Property Isn't Normal, and it was posted to the r/NoSleep subreddit by archived account. And it starts like this. When my grandmother died, she left me her land. It wasn't just a house, it was acres of fenced fields, tree lines that felt too thick, and space that felt watched. I thought I was inheriting peaceful isolation. What I actually inherited was a list. It was taped to the refrigerator, yellowed and handwritten, each rule written like she expected me to need it. Do not go outside after dark. If you see someone in the field, do not wave. If something stands still too long, go inside immediately. Never follow voices. If you see it smiling, leave the room. At first I laughed. I figured she was eccentric, old, lonely, and creative. I stopped laughing after the third night. I was inside watching TV when my motion light flicked on. Bright white light filled the field outside my living room window. I glanced out without thinking. Someone was standing there. Middle of the field, dead center. Arms hanging at its sides. Feet perfectly aligned, just standing there. It looked like a man at first glance, tall and slim, wearing something too dark to be made out clearly. But it wasn't moving. Not shifting, weight, not breathing, just watching my house. I remembered the list. If you see someone in the field, do not wave. I backed away from the window. The next night, it was still there. Same position, same distance, same posture. Not closer, not further, like it was testing whether I'd look. The third night, it tilted its head at me. That's when I realized something was fundamentally wrong. Humans don't tilt their heads that far. The angle was impossible. Like the neck wasn't built to do that, but it forced itself to do it anyway. I went inside and locked the door. The rules started to feel more important after that. A week later, I started hearing knocking on the back side of the house, soft and slow. 3 taps. I didn't answer. The voice came next. Mistake to ignore guests. The voice was wrong. Flat, like it heard people talk, but it didn't understand what tone was. I remembered another rule. Never follow voices. So I stayed still. The thing walked along the side of the house, footsteps that sounded wet, dragging slightly. Then, it stopped under my bedroom window. It didn't knock this time. It just stood there, breathing, like it was learning how to do so. Every night after that, it came closer. It stopped standing in the field and started standing by the fence, then by the shed, then just beyond the porch. It never touched the house, not directly. It just stared. Practiced. One night, it waved. The movement was stiff, elbow bending wrong, fingers crooked in strange angles. Another night, it smiled. The skin stretched too tight across its face. The smile kept going past where a normal face would stop, teeth showing in strange places. I followed the rules. I always followed the rules. Until the night I heard my own voice from outside. Hey, open the door. It wasn't a perfect copy, but it was close enough to make my stomach drop. I didn't answer. I didn't move. The footsteps circled the house slowly, testing, learning, practicing. That was the night I understood the last rule my grandmother wrote. It was at the very bottom of the list, faded, almost erased. The land doesn't belong to you. You just live on it. I don't plan on selling it. I don't plan on leaving, because I think that's what it wants. I think it wants me to run, to slip, to make a mistake. So, I stay inside at night. I don't answer the voices. I don't wave. And when I see it standing perfectly still out in the field, I don't look at it. Not anymore. Because it isn't just watching. It's waiting. And one day, it's going to get close enough to try the door. And I don't think the rules will save me then. Because they weren't meant to save me forever. The end. I really like that story. I like the Skinwalker stories. I like how there's kind of a common narrative to all of them. I think surprisingly, though, in almost all of them where the Skinwalkers are approaching the house, the person is just surprisingly calm. And it's kind of weird to think about. I think if I saw some creature that I could almost certainly very quickly identify as a Skinwalker or something like that, stalking my house, stalking me, looking at me from out the window, especially at night, I would not be this calm 10 days in, 2 weeks in, 3 months in, whatever it is. No. I'm getting out of there. I definitely wouldn't sell the property because, like the protagonist said, it might just, fall into the hands of someone less capable who would get got right away. Or worst case scenario, if the thing gets someone, maybe it learns more. Maybe it learns so much that it is able to become this perfect chameleon killer that can no longer be detected because it has gathered so much material. That would be even worse, objectively. Now again, if you're moving out to the middle of nowhere on a large property, so large that, the neighbors can't see this weirdo standing in the field, you should probably buy a gun, and you should probably be willing to defend yourself. At this point, I would probably, this one doesn't seem like it is in the daytime. It seems more toward the afternoon or night, or in the evening. And I think that it would be a much better idea at that point to probably put up a little fence around the house, maybe electrify it, maybe dig some punji traps, get some stuff going, so that in the event that it decides to not be so nice, you're a little bit more prepared. I think that could also be a great gauge as to its abilities. If you put up a 7-foot tall fence with nowhere to grab on and it just magically jumps over it or whatever, well, now you know it can do that, right? If you put a whole bunch of traps and it knows to dodge certain parts of the ground where there's the traps, you know what abilities it has, right? But just saying, oh yes, my glass windows should save me, that's not the greatest idea, I don't think. So what could we have done differently? Anything. We could have done something. I think, again, this is a case of someone just not doing anything. And I think, just as they put in the end, those rules are not going to save them forever. One day the creature is going to work up the gusto to just come and take you out. Or, who knows what else. Maybe it just wants to capture you and eat little bits off of you forever and ever, till you're dead. That is definitely a worse fate than just dying right away. So, with that, what would you do if you owned a house like this, if you inherited a property, and you were visited by something every night? Would you fortify? Would you get out of there? Would you sell the place? Would you try and hunt it? What would you do? What would you do differently than what I said? I think, kind of moving into the final part of the analysis, the lesson that we can learn from this. One, very clear one, rules are often there to protect you. We've said that before with some of the Wendigo ones. But I think, again, we are too comfortable in our lives. I think we are too willing to just sit around and wait for people to come save us. I think, at the end of the day, if there is something like this, or if you want to think about it, there will be a time in each person's life where they have to make the decision to save themselves or keep waiting for someone to save them. And it's not going to be terribly often that someone comes and bails you out. Now, with that being said, there is going to be a time when you have to choose to stand up and you have to choose to save yourself. Now, I'm not saying that you can't pray. I'm not saying that you can't call on your friends or your family. But what I am saying is there really, truly will be a time when the fight or flight is right in front of you. And if you don't choose to save yourself, you are just going to get wrecked. And just like in the story, there will be something easing its way up on you, closer and closer and closer. And if you don't choose to save yourself, no one will. And the sooner you understand that, the better. The more capable you'll be. The more assertive you'll be to do things in your life. Because once you realize that you have the power to save yourself, you will want to keep going. You will want to keep growing in all of your capacities. You won't want to just sit around anymore. You won't want to just consume all day long the content machine, the food, whatever else. You'll want to go do something and be something, because you'll understand just how much you're really capable of. So wrapping it all together, have you asked yourself, have you reflected on it recently? What are you capable of? Has there ever been a time where you needed to save yourself? Please, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your support. If you liked today's video and you made it this far, please, maybe try and go look at my playlists. I do have a lot of these stories so far, and they're all basically the same format. So they're great for studying or sleeping or whatever else you want to do with them. Or even just sitting down and watching like a TV show. And again, I am trying to make it to 100 subscribers by the end of the year. And I would love your help in reaching that. And finally, I'm Cece. This has been The Crucible of Character. I hope you learned something. I love you all. See you tomorrow.